Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to review how to do velocity banking easily with multiple credit cards. So if you have no idea what velocity banking is, go ahead and click the link down below to Velocity Banking 101 and then come back to this channel or this video to continue reviewing your studies. Now, what are the first two steps in velocity banking? First one is we need a budget. So I've just kind of pre-done this for you. I call this the average American, although I had someone complain, hey, I'm from South Africa. And, in this country, average American is a derogatory term. So I don't know if you want to actually be part of that group, the derogatory group, which just means in the context of velocity banking, a person who uses their checking account as their main operating account. All right. Well, we've written that down. So we'll just assume we have $6,000 net income, $44,905 in expenses, and then 1905 in checking and savings, which is pretty decent, right? So almost $2,000 in savings, but you got a lot of credit card debt. You got $30,000 balance, $20,000 balance, 10,000. So you have about $60,000 of credit card debt, and you'd like to see this grow a little bit. And you one of the things that you don't want to be is in that situation where you have $20,000 in savings and then $20,000 credit card debt, because a lot of people, they're afraid to put their savings into pay off their credit card debt because it just looks good. It's culturally normal, but really that's where the banks want you at, because you're making 0.001% on your savings account, yet they're charging you 20-30% interest on that credit card, right? So you definitely don't want to be there. But let's just assume that we have these credit cards of $60,000. We have these monthly payments, we have rent, we have other. And so now what we have to do is we have to optimize it so that we can pay off our credit card debt really quickly, right? And so one of the things we have to do is just make sure that we pay these one by one. So unlike the Heloc, where we could kind of like pay off debts quickly because, or a personal line of credit, pay them off quickly because the Heloc or the PLOC or personal line of credit is very flexible. Credit cards are not as flexible, right? So here's one thing I cannot do. I can't pay one credit card with another. So this is why we can't dump, unlike the other velocity banking situations, we can't dump all of our money into one paycheck, or we can't dump our paycheck all into a line of credit. We kind of have to almost take out some or leave some to pay the credit card debt. So this is what we're going to do is with the velocity banking in this situation, we're not going to dump our entire paycheck into that line of credit. And I'm going to kind of subcategorize this. So we're going to have a line of credit deposit of how much we're going to do. So the paycheck is kind of going to be the same, but we're going to kind of cut this down to make it a little bit more sense. And we're going to say what expenses are going to come from the line of credit, right? And then this is our checking and savings. And this is just there so we can pay the other credit card payments, or at least the minimum. And then the last one is our cash flow, or I'll just call it the line of credit cash flow, to figure out how much our line of credit goes down in balance when we do velocity banking. So now let's just kind of go here. So what we have to do is select which line of credit we're going to use as our main operating account, right? And you can use any one of these three. You could also use something called the cash flow index to kind of figure out which one you want to pay off first. Again, it depends usually on the balance of the loan, the interest rate, and also the monthly payment. If you've never heard of the cash flow index, look up Garrett Gunderson cash flow index. All it is a formula of the loan balance divided by the monthly payment, right? So that's 28.5. This one's 20,000 divided by 645. Whoopsie, 645. And then this one is 10,000 divided by 400, right? And the idea is that if you want to select the loan, the loan or the credit card or the debt that has the lowest number, because that will free up the most cash flow in comparison to the loan balance, right? So according to that, this would be, you would use this as your main line of credit for everything. Now, here's the thing: it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, with numbers as low as these, it just depends on your preference and which ones you want to pay off first. But the main difference is that if we don't have a line of credit like a personal or HELOC, we're gonna have to just pay these one off at a time. That's like the main difference, right? So we're just gonna have to use one of these as our main operating account. I'll just go with credit card A, okay? And let's assume that we have those cool credit cards that allows us to pay our rent with the credit card. I know there's special credit cards out there like that if your landlord doesn't accept credit cards, but we're gonna go ahead and assume all of them do. So now let's just do this. We'll assume that it's a 30% interest rate. We'll just kind of make this up and say it's a $35,000 credit limit, $30,000 balance, right? I don't know what this G2 is, probably screwed up. All right, so $30,000 balance. Now we have to kind of calculate what's going into the line of credit, what are our expenses from that line of credit, things that we have to put in our checking and savings just to pay off the credit card payments, because we can't pay a credit card with another credit card, right? We certainly can't do that. But we can pay off a line of credit with another line of credit, although credit card is a line of credit, so hopefully we're not getting too confused with the jargon here. But and then figure out how much the credit line will go down in our cash flow. So one thing to remember is that whatever we use as our main operating account, this essentially goes to zero, okay? Because we're putting our entire paycheck or almost our entire paycheck in there, and then that's going to do two things: set aside the minimum monthly payment and minimize the interest. That's calculated on average daily balance. So for these ones, these are still there for now, right? Okay. Now what we have to do is just kind of calculate. So let's just do this. So 645 plus 400. These are credit card payments that we're going to have to leave in our checking account. So 1045, right? Our expenses are going to be these other two that we're not paying that we're going to pay from our credit card A. So this is going to be 2000. All right. And so what this line of credit deposit is going to be is this number minus this number. So let me just kind of go here. So there'll be 6,000 minus 1045. Okay. And that'll be 4955. And then our cash flow is going to be, what's our cash flow going to be? It's going to be C2 minus C4, right? And, oh, I'm sorry. No, I made a mistake. C2 minus C3. And so our cash flow is pretty good, 2955. That's a lot better than I thought it would be for some reason. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this 4955 into the line of credit, take out our expenses, which is a 2000, and then it should go down about 3000. So let's go ahead and estimate what's going to happen. So G2 minus 2955. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and copy this formula, and eventually it will go to zero, right? So how long is it going to take us to pay off this line of credit? So I don't know, 10, 11 months, probably, maybe even a little bit more, but we'll see. So now what we do is calculate the interest. So this would be, what we're going to do is we're going to take the previous month's balance, multiply by the interest rate, and then divide by 12. So the reason why we use the previous month's balance is because that's just usually the average, the interest is calculated by the average daily balance, but we don't know when the expenses are going to occur. So just as a way to calculate, we just use the previous month's balance. And we divide by 12 because interest rates are quoted annually, and we're trying to get the monthly interest. Okay, so now it took us about, I guess, 11 months. Let's see how long it took us. Yeah, you could probably add 2 more months in there, really. So probably, well, actually, if the cash flow is about 3,000, yeah, so probably about 11 months. You split it between these 2 months, and then it'll be paid off. Okay, so now it took us about 11 months to pay off, and then now we have to pay $4,000 of interest. Okay, it's pretty sweet. So now we paid off this one, and let me make a note: 11 months and 4K interest payment total, right? So we did that, and now what we're going to do is just do the exact same thing with this one. Just kind of go one at a time, right? So now let's just assume that we have, I don't know, let's say $25,000 limit, and we have a $20,000 balance. And now this one is going to go to 0, right? So this is what, because this is our main operating account, and we're doing the line of credit deposit from here to here, which satisfies the minimum monthly payment. That's not going to get up into our cash flow. And I know that, after 11 months, this is definitely going to go down, but we're just making, the math easy. I'm not going to make it too complicated. Okay. So now our line of credit expenses, so let me just do this. Since we only have to worry about credit card C, this is essentially going to go to 400, right? So now it's 6,000 minus 400, which is going to be our credit card deposit. So those would be 5,600. Okay. And how much is our line of credit expenses? It's still 2,000. So if you see that right here, we only have 2,000 in line of credit expenses. Okay. So now what we do is we put this here, we take this out, and now it should go down by 3,600. So I'm just going to do G2 minus 3,600. And let's see how long it takes us for us to pay off that. Ooh, that's really quick. So about 5-6 months, right? And let's go ahead and calculate the interest, which is equals F. I'm getting so confused. I'll say previous months, G2 times 0.3 divided by 12. There we go. Okay. And now let's go ahead and sum this up. This right here. And so this one, it took us about, let's see, I'll say 6 months. 6 months and 1.6K interest payment total, right? Got it. All right, cool. So now we paid that off. Now we're going to use this 10K one as our main operating account. So let's just say we have a $12,000 limit. How much is the balance? The balance is about $10,000, right? Not too much wiggle room there, but we're now going to use that as our main operating account. And so now we don't need anything in our checking and savings for the different credit card payments. We can deposit the whole thing into that line of credit, right? And look at this one. This one's going to be get rid of easily. So G2 minus $4,000, and it only took us about 3 months. And then we'll go ahead and calculate the interest, which is G2 times 0.3 divided by 12. Okay. Wow. Look at that. So this one took us about 3 months. Well, it actually technically probably should have taken you 2, because listen, if the cash flow is 4,000 and you add this up here, and again, I know this is an estimate, that's really just 3 months or 2 months actually. So let's just put 2 months here, and then 450 interest payment total. Okay, so now we paid these suckers off. All right, so now we're good. So this is now going to be 0. Okay. Well, this technically was 0 because we made our main operating account. I forgot to update that. But now take a look at this, right? So since this is all paid off, now we have true cash flow. So let me go ahead and erase this so it makes a little bit more sense. But basically, after every month, we're going to have a $4,000 lump sum into our checking account, and we're not going to be in that silly situation where we have $4,000 in checking and a $4,000 in credit card debt, where one is gaining interest at 0.001% and the other is gaining interest at 20-30%, right? We're not going to get into that nonsense. So it'll be 4,000, and next month 8,000, and then you can see your money's growing pretty rapidly with some good cash, real cash flow, right? And that's what will be happening going forward. And how do we get to that situation, right? Well, basically, we just paid off one credit card at a time. And the first one is obviously going to take the longest. This one took the longest because of the highest balance, but then we have all these other 2 credit cards here. But it only took us about 11 months, and we only paid 4,000 in total. And the next one took less, 6 months, at 1.6 total. And the next one definitely took, again, it's like a snowball effect, right? But let's just see how long it took. So this is about 20 months. So 11 plus 6 is 17. Oh, no, 19 months. So 19 months. Well, so 19 divided by 12. So it took us a little bit over a year to pay it off, right? A little bit, a year and a half. And we'll just see a year and a half, and 4 plus 1.6 plus 450. Oh, hold on. I'm screwed up. 4,000 plus 1,600 plus 450. So we paid about $6,000 of interest, which is not bad. I mean, 6,000 for 60,000. To use $60,000 of funds at 30% interest, only $6,000. Not bad at all, right? So this is how you would handle multiple credit cards. Whereas in the other situation where you could kind of just like pay off all your debts at once and consolidate them and do a debt transfer into just one line of credit. With the credit card, we have to do it a little bit differently, a little bit more methodically, where we're just using one credit account as our operating account. And then once that goes to zero, then we'll move on to the next one. And then that one goes to zero and then move on to the next one, right? All right, so hope this has been helpful for you. This is Velocity Banking. And if you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the link down to the Google form for creating Atlanta Mentorship. Enter in your information and we'll give you a contact once we reviewed it. All right, so have a great day and we'll speak next time.